What has happened to Mo Salah this season was last season a freak season for him. Nothing's happened to Mo Salah this season. He's still getting in the positions. He's still having shots. Lots of the shots are on target. He's still creating chances. He's still on the end of chances. And I just don't see that there's too big of a crisis, really. I know lots of people are making a big fuss about this. The media are talking about it all the time. Sky are doing things on it. Papers are doing things on it. But, you know, from where I'm watching, he's still Mo Salah. Yeah, you know, at times he's making the wrong decision. He's maybe overthinking things. That's just a little bit of a confidence crisis. To say last season was a freak, clearly not. He scored every type of goal. He scored screamers, he scored tap-ins, he scored headers, he scored them where he was juggling them over the defenders and playing keepy up in the box almost and then putting it in. I think all that comes. I think all that comes as the season goes on. He had a bit of a slow start last season, and in fact, we were talking about maybe he wasn't a natural finisher and that kind of stuff. Then all of a sudden he hit a run of form like strikers can often do. I think we see that again. I think we see Mo scoring goals. Will he get 40 odd again? Probably a big ask. 20 odd though, 25, maybe even 30. I think that's more than feasible for Mo Salah. Question 4. Do you still think about the old Manchester City days? Do you still think about Paul Dickhoff, playoff finals, Sean Goater, Ali Benarbia, you know, all those days, the main road days, are they still going through your head, or have you completely moved on and you're big club now?
Right, your next question. Do we still think back to the good old days of Dickhoff and Goater and Ali Benarbia? What a great player he was. Shame he didn't stay longer. And Main Road. Yeah, I think a lot of older City fans, they do think back to those days. I mean, they were great times. We had a lot of fun, especially on away days, going to games. But we weren't great on the pitch. I think that's the big difference between then and now. I mean, I remember I used to work in London a lot, and I traipsed around for a few years around many London grounds, watching us consistently getting beat. Yeah, we'd go and have a bit of fun and have a laugh, but on the pitch we were getting beat. I'd go to Highbury, we'd get beat. I'd go to Stamford Bridge, we'd get beat. I'd go to Selhurst Park, we'd get beat. I'd go to Loftus Road, we'd get beat. Wherever we seemed to go, we got beat. And that took a bit of the edge, a bit of the fun off the day out. So yes, we do look back to those days. We've got to remember where we came from. We can't forget that. And we try, on our channel especially, to interview people who were around at that time. We've really recently done a series of interviews with David White, a legend of the club. And so we want the newer fans to remember and to know about our history and what we've been through. Because now we're, let's say, we're out on the other side, we're having good times. And the good times, they're not going to be there forever. And we might dominate for 5 or 10 years. But it's inevitable that other teams will compete, and it's probable and likely that we'll drop back a bit. And I think we are in a better position to cope because we know what it was like to be dragged around the old third division and you know, going to places like York and Macclesfield and whatever. So we know what it's like, and I think we can probably better accept dropping down a rung or two, not divisions, but you know, not challenging for a year or two. I think we can better handle it because, as an overall fan base, because of our older loyal supporters, we've been through some really bad times, and I don't think right now we've got a sense of entitlement. We're enjoying the good times. We are just really happy about the good times, but we always got in the back of our minds what the bad times were like and how tough they were on the pitch. So yeah, we remember our bad old days. We've got some fond memories of them, but we much prefer going forwards with a better team on the pitch.
Which City players do you fear the most, if any? I fear lots of Manchester City players. They've got quality all over the pitch. No one can deny that. You don't get 100 points in a season if you're a poor side. Despite Aguero's record at Anfield, he still hasn't scored at Anfield. I do fear him. I think he's an absolutely brilliant finisher, a brilliant player, a player I'd love to have at Liverpool. Maybe not right now, because our front three, I'm happy with them. I'm happy with how they connect and how it works. but I'd love to watch Aguero in red in general. So I definitely fear him, and the Anfield record thing, I think it's just one of those things. I remember Ian Rush going a long time where he couldn't score against Manchester United, and he eventually did, but no one went round saying, well, Ian Rush is no good. It was just a bit of a freak record. I think Aguero's at Anfield is similar. So yeah, I really like Aguero. De Bruyne, I'm hoping and I'm praying that he's not ready to play on Sunday against Liverpool. He is someone I fear as well. I think he's a brilliant player. I'm a big fan of Steven Gerrard. What I used to love about Gerrard was the fact that he could take a game by the scruff of the neck and win it almost on his own. He decided to win it at times. And I think De Bruyne is very close to being that type of player as well. There's been many times where I've watched Man City on the telly and thought, doesn't really seem like it's happening for them today. And then De Bruyne's just kicked on a level, done something brilliant, played a brilliant pass, scored a brilliant goal, and he's an inspirational player. He's also apparently a Liverpool fan, so, you know, can we sort that out and get him to Anfield? Question 5. If you could take one Liverpool player you've seen play in your lifetime and put him into the Manchester City's team, who would it be?
Okay, if we could take one Liverpool player that we've seen play in our lifetimes, who would it be? Well, I'm 50 years old, so I've watched Liverpool quite a lot over my lifetime, and actually I went to university in Liverpool in the 80s, in the late 80s. So, and keep it quiet, just between you and me, I used to go to games at Anfield and a few at Goodison Park as well. Liverpool played, I mean, let's be quite honest, fantastic football, unbelievable football, great football. I remember there was one year in the late 80s, I think you beat Nottingham Forest 5-0, and Forest were second in the table and nearest challengers, and you could have had 10. You could have, you know, absolutely played them off the park. So, one Liverpool player. I might get greedy. I might opt for two from that late 80s team. I absolutely loved Dalglish. Okay, he was coming towards the end of his career then as a player, but I absolutely loved him. He's a magician, a bit like our Merlin. And I absolutely loved John Barnes. I probably loved John Barnes more than Dalglish. And yeah, he was a favourite player of mine, Barnesy, in the 80s. And let me be greedy just this once, and I'll take Dalglish and Barnes.
Which Liverpool players will cause us the most problems, and why? We've got to still, in terms of players that will cause Manchester City problems, you've still got to say the front three. I know everyone's talking about Mo Salah not having his best season so far, but he's still a goal scorer. He can still get you something out of nothing. I think Sadio Mane, though, is the one this season who's perhaps been Liverpool's biggest threat out of the front three. He always seems to go a little bit under the radar for me as well. Not as many people talk about Mane the way they do about other players. Maybe it's because he can look a little bit scruffy at times. Maybe it's because he gets involved in physical battles at times. But that's a good thing for me. I think, you know, he's not just about skill and being flash and his touch and his finishing and things like that. He's got all that in his locker, by the way. But he does like a little bit of a fight, and he does like to sort of drop deep at times and pick up the ball, move around the pitch, go out of position. And so because of that, he is a real threat. Firmino as well is a player that you should always be worried about. He's one who drops into midfield and does a lot of work, almost works as an extra midfielder at times. But City already know about his quality, because, you know, there was the great game, great for us, early on in Klopp's reign when we went to the Etihad and we won 4-1, and Firmino was instrumental on that day alongside Coutinho. So those two, Firmino and Salah, well, Firmino, Salah and Mane, obviously the front three are the ones who could well be troubling you come Sunday. Question 6. You've got a good manager, okay, but do you secretly like Jurgen Klopp? You do, don't you?
Right, your next question. Do we secretly like Jurgen Klopp? Well, I'll let you into something here. I don't tend to watch opposition new managers' press conferences. But I did watch Jurgen Klopp's because I found him entertaining. I thought it would be entertaining before I watched it. I watched it live. And probably the last one I watched anything that I can remember was probably Mourinho when he first came to Chelsea. That was kind of a big deal at the time. But I did watch Jurgen Klopp's first interview live, his first press conference as a manager of Liverpool. And that was because he was an interesting guy. He'd come from Germany, and he wasn't, he didn't have his feet under the table then. And so there was none of this tribalism or any rivalry or anything else, any other reason not to watch him. He seemed like a decent, funny guy. But I think over the years, he's lost his appeal, sadly. I think some of that's naturally going to be just due to the tribal nature of football. I mean, he's an opposition manager. We're not supposed to like them. I think we've liked his passion, and there's nothing wrong with that, being passionate. But some of the things he said in press conferences have been a little bit rude to reporters. He's put them down, and I think that's wrong. I think he does that more than some others. I think Pep has probably done it once or twice when he's been a bit narked. But I think Klopp's done it. It feels like, anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like he's done it a bit more, and he's gone in a little bit. He's gone a bit further below the belt with some of the things he said to reporters, and some of the comments he makes. You've got to dislike him for them. When he talks about the money other clubs spend, and says that he couldn't do it. He'd have to leave football if that happened at Liverpool or wherever he was. And then lo and behold, he goes and spends an absolute shed load of money, and it's all right now. It's no problem. So things like that, the hypocrisy, I think fans don't like. And I also think he let down Karius, ex-City player. He let down Karius after the Champions League final. Now, it's one thing to be disappointed. It's one thing to probably know in your heart that you're going to let this guy go, because he's made 2 clangers in the Champions League final. Big game. But I think as a man, he really should have done the right thing as a man and put his arm around Karius. Karius was disconsolate. He was desolate. He was on the floor emotionally. And I think as a manager, as a man manager, the right thing for Klopp to have done was to put his arm around him. And he lost a little bit in my estimation there, because no matter how badly you're feeling yourself, he should have had some empathy and some sympathy or some pity or some whatever it was, and put his arm around the guy and try to console him. And he didn't do that, and I think that was a bit of a letdown. But I also think, actually, lots of Liverpool fans will secretly love Pep. So it works both ways. And I think Klopp would have done a good job at City overall. I think Pep would have done a good job at Liverpool. And I think secretly, you guys, you might not actually want to admit it, but I think secretly, deep down, you'd have loved Pep at Anfield.
The last question, what is your score prediction? Well, City have obviously got a wretched record at Anfield. I think we're going back to 2003-ish, is it? Anyway, it was when Nicholas and Nelka scored 2 goals and City won at Anfield that day. So wretched record at Anfield. I'm going for that to continue. I'm going to say there's going to be goals. So I'm going to say it's going to be Liverpool 3, Manchester City 2. Question 7. You ask me it, I'll ask you it. What's your score prediction for Sunday?
And finally, a score prediction. Well, yes, you've got this hoodoo over us. You've got this jinx. We just can't win at Anfield for 15 years. We struggle to even get draws there. But I just can't go for Liverpool winning this. I'm not going to be so bold as to say a City win. Let's sit on the fence a little bit and say an entertaining 1-1 draw. Right, there we go. I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to the Anfield Wrap and Gareth in particular for helping us put this video together with your questions and answers. And let's just hope for a great game on Sunday. And for you fellow Blues, leave some comments down below under the video. Talk to us on Twitter. We've always got something to say on there. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for notifications. See you around, Blues.